This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. While MeUndies can't totally help your love life this Valentine's Day, they can offer you insanely comfy undies and loungewear to buy or gift. MeUndies has so many awesome Valentine's Day prints and styles. Plus, you can match with your partner, friends, or even your pets. This Valentine's Day, give the gift that'll keep them thinking of you and score huge site-wide savings at MeUndies.com/Spotify. That's MeUndies.com/Spotify. MeUndies. Comfort from the outside in.
Don't miss out on the final football game of the season with Prize Picks. Join now because Prize Picks are giving away a free pick for the big game where 1 yard equals 1 win. Just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks app and use code FIELD and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code FIELD on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
And now, a special edition of the Toddcast podcast.
Powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
And this week, you'll go back over the years of this podcast. We're into year 11 now. So we're drawing from 10 years of incredible conversations with some of the most fascinating names in music, sports, entertainment. If you followed along, you know you've had a front row seat to some stories that have no doubt left you inspired, surprised, entertained, from straight up music icons, sports legends, well-known Hollywood actors. Each guest, of course, has a unique journey, a story to be told. And this week, I wanted to share some of those moments with you. Episode 355, you will hear 9 guests this week in sports. She is an IFBB Pro Champ, muscle and motion meets science. He's a 5-time Stanley Cup champ goaltender. And she's precision and power, a 6-time kickboxing champ fighting under Bellator MMA. In entertainment, lifestyle, she's a mastermind of strategy, a branding genius, and a keynote speaker. He's an actor with a towering presence, and she's an unflinching storyteller. Grit and grace meets the screen. You will hear from this week's musical guests, a rock drummer you'll know from Jackass, a punk powerhouse, and the engine of one of the most influential bands of the 90s. They're coming up momentarily. Okay, my name's Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for being there along for the ride. Of course, we couldn't do it without the support of all of our sponsors, especially our title sponsor, Citywide Mortgage Services. They just might as well put on superhero capes and help me secure a great fixed rate with RBC. I'm one of those assholes that likes to know how much I'm paying each month. I know that the variable might get me payments of a few bucks less month over month or whatever, but it could also go the other way. And then suddenly my payments are just too much, like especially over the COVID years, right? Those are rough years for anyone. Anyway, Dara, one of the owners, is a buddy of mine and basically helped me dial up a good rate, terms that I was happy with. And he said that any Toddcast listener that wants the same, just hit him up. Citywide Mortgage Services. My circle is your circle. Use my network to better your life. If you need a trusted mortgage broker, look no further. Dara will have your back. All right. Coming up shortly in Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, James Cybulski talks about how long it takes to voice the play-by-play, for the NHL EA Sports. He's the voice you hear for those games. That is now powered by the Home Dwell Group. Buddies since literally elementary school. I've known Kyle, a partner, since grade 6. Solid kid. I would literally trust him with my life. Totally trust him about buying a home. If you're selling a home, contact Kyle today at homedwell.ca. homedwell.ca. First, let's get to some musical guest highlights in this Over the Years podcast and start with a band I said that you would know from Jackass, CKY. Can't Kill Yourself. They're better known as CKY. Big fan of the band. They formed in the tail end of the 90s. They had an awesome video series. They, of course, were in Jackass as well. The drummer of CKY, Jess Margera, is brothers with Bam from Jackass. Of course, we talked about that with Jess when he was a guest of this podcast, but killer band. No pun intended. That post-grunge stoner rock thing, they really nailed it. And getting outside of what he's known for, of course, being the drummer in CKY, listen to Jess tell a near-death story?
I've had at least 2 or 3 of those, and I classify that as a doctor or a police officer saying, I can't believe you're still here. And I've heard that at least 3 times.
Hit us with one. What happened?
The most recent was I had my appendix rupture, and, they say the pain, I have a high tolerance for pain, obviously.
Yeah.
And
obviously.
So my appendix ruptured, and within like a day or 2, your blood becomes poisoned and you die. Mm. And I waited about 2 weeks. And,
wow.
My doctor, he's a friend of mine. I played baseball with his kids and stuff. And he was just like, you're an asshole, man. Like, what are you doing?
Wow.
How did you ignore the pain of your appendix rupturing? It's like taking a shotgun round to your abdomen.
Yeah,
and I just told him, crazy. I thought I ate bad sushi. And he was like, you're truly a moron. And what happened was, instead of my blood becoming septic from the poison, it pulled up into an abscess, and that was about to rupture. And he was like, and if that ruptured, which it was about to, you would have been dead in about 5 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, dude, I had appendicitis when I was about 25, and I just remember it being like the worst. I mean, mine didn't rupture, but it was the worst pain I'd ever been in. It felt like literally somebody was stabbing me.
Oh, my God, yeah, it was terrible.
Like crazy.
And me, like an idiot, I'm like, I shouldn't have went to that sushi place. I knew it was bad.
I'll just wait. Tough guy, yeah.
Yeah, so I ignored the pain. It kind of started to go away, and then it came back, and I'm like, okay, something's going on. So I went to get a CAT scan, and the guy just runs out the door. He's like, get to the hospital right now.
Wow.
I'm like, what, I have to go into surgery? He's like, yes. I'm like, can it wait till tomorrow morning? He's like, no, dude, you have minutes. They are waiting for you. Get there right now.
Holy shit.
And, it's scary.
I love that. I classify that as a doctor or a police officer saying, I can't believe you're still here. No offense, of course, but I would have been surprised if Jess hadn't had a near-death story. Again, CKY, very cool band. If you haven't given them much of your time, because they're definitely in that category of like best band most people don't know. Like, start at the album, infiltrate, destroy, rebuild, and go from there. An Answer Can Be Found is very good as well. I remember CKY doing lots of touring, always keeping an eye out in Vancouver for a show. I never did get to see them, actually, but if they do come, I mean, I'm going. Check out what Jess said about his career highlight.
I mean, I'd have to say the tour we just did in England is definitely in the top 3 because it was just unbelievable. We sold out every date, I think it was. Maybe one show, I think Cambridge maybe, was like 50 tickets away from selling out. And that's a great thing to see when it's been about 8 years since we played there, and we really had no idea what the reaction would be. And to see venues get upgraded and sell out within hours, it's really awesome.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, there's something about the European crowds too, hey?
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way, when you kind of fuck off for a few years. People move on, or they really miss you, and I'm glad it was the latter.
No doubt, right? To see venues get upgraded and sell out within hours, that's really awesome. From CKY's drummer to the Ramones' bassist, CJ Ramone. How cool is it to grab him for a podcast? Like, what a crazy 10 years. When you look back on things like, how did I even book him? Like, no idea. I honestly can't remember how that happened. I mean, I could take an educational stab at it, but regardless, here you have the bassist for the Ramones between 1989 and 1996 on the Toddcast. He, of course, replaced Dee Dee, and he's telling us about his first show with the band and how that went down.
Of course it was hugely overwhelming, but when we came off stage, Johnny yelled at me pretty good for about 10 minutes for making a lot of mistakes and whatnot. So that was about the most memorable part of it. But it was, he was trying to get me to be, to play at a level as the Ramones played at. So
sure. Yeah.
I just kind of took it on the chin and I really did enjoy the show, though.
Mm-hmm.
Leicester, England, September 30th, 1989, my first show.
No doubt, right? Johnny yelled at me for about 10 minutes for making a lot of mistakes. How great is it to hear CJ talking about his first show with the Ramones and how the Beatles, did you know this? The Fab Four play into the Ramones' band name. Did you know that?
Dee Dee was a huge Beatles fan, as was the rest of the band. And when the band first got together, he thought they were going to be as big as the Beatles. So
right.
Paul McCartney used to check into hotels under the name of Paul Ramone.
No way, really?
Dee Dee took on.
Okay.
Yeah, Dee Dee took on the name Ramone, and that became that kind of became the whole thing behind the band. They all took it on, and they became Ramones,
which is great. Love it.
Yeah, I'm really, really lucky. Like, my mom and dad listened to, everything. I mean, from classical to country. I really grew up on country, but I was exposed to like a lot of other different types of music, from 50s rock and roll and 60s Motown and doo-wop. A lot of it just listening to the radio. But my mom and dad always, encouraged me to listen to different types of music, and I took to it wholeheartedly. And I've always said I'm a music fan. I'm not a genre fan so much. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I stayed, for most of my life.
He thought they were going to be as big as the Beatles. That's great. And of course, a play on the more popular than Jesus comment that John Lennon made in the interview back in 1966, suggesting that the decline of Christianity was so bad that rock and roll would outlast it. And we'll take you from the bassist of the Ramones to the drummer of Jane's Addiction, Stephen Perkins.
And, me and Navarro met when we were 14, and I met Perry and Eric when I was 17, and, I still play with these guys. So
right.
It's really about, keeping the friendships alive with a sense of humor and and having, understanding that everyone's got their own life and we don't have to commit just to each other. But when you get on stage or get in a room together, that commitment comes straight to the top, Mm-hmm. And I think that's why playing and seeing some of those bands I've been in and playing with these cats, it seems logical and just a perfect fit for me. But also it's the guys that I've been growing up with, and it's the guys I like to play with. And it's a great feeling to get in a room with these cats, close your eyes and go, okay, I'm 52, but it sounds like we're 15.
Totally.
It feels like we're kids again. And I think that's the greatest thing about music and art. It really is timeless. I mean, an athlete sooner or later has to put his cleats out, and put his glove out. And I can't play anymore. I can't keep up with the 20-year-olds. I'm 50. Mm-hmm. But a musician never has to quit.
You got to love that. Hey, like, what did he say? Something to the effect of, like, when they get on stage or get in a room together, that commitment really kind of comes to the top. And it's so true. You need laser focus in those group settings. It's super easy to get sidetracked. But when you have a band like Jane's Addiction, for the most part, they've been a constant in rock since the early 90s. Of course, they had the now infamous blow up on stage last year. Perry Farrell, singer, went at the guitarist Dave Navarro, who had to protect himself. Otherwise, Jane's Addiction has been there. They've always just been there. And drummer Stephen Perkins is known for a lot more than just Jane's Addiction. Of course, he formed Infectious Grooves with Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies. He's rock, he's jazz, he's swing, African, Indian, Latin. He formed Banyan. They're an instrumental jazz band. Of course, Stephen is the drummer for Porno for Pyros. He's toured with Tommy Lee and Methods of Mayhem. He's played in the Panic Channel, and he's seen some crazy shit on stage over the years.
There's a lot that goes into that question, but I tell you what really inspires me is those really big shows. And you're playing a song, and you see someone on a bungee jump, 150 yards away. You see someone, they're not watching the band, they're experiencing their day, but the band is you can't get away from it. We're still the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And I love having that huge platform, those big festivals, to really get your music get people spirited up, and they're doing things that have nothing to do with your song, and they might be meeting their next wife, their future wife, or they might be having a reunion with someone they haven't seen in 30 years, and I love being part of that experience and bringing, the music is a reason to be there, but it's not exactly the only thing that's happening in their life. But yeah, I've seen some crazy shit. I mean, Perry is such a great front man because he's in the moment. He doesn't, you have to keep an eye on him when you're playing the songs because it's not verse, chorus, guitar solo. It's what's happening in the moment, and then respect that, and being in the band with Tommy Lee with Methods of Mayhem, and he was singing and playing guitar, and I was on drums.
Right.
We had a one hell of a day. I don't think we belonged there. It was a super heavy metal festival out in Austria, and the band we were doing, Methods of Mayhem, was a full hybrid of hip hop and rock and techno even, and we were not welcome. And shit was coming at us, glass bottles.
Wow.
These people hated us so much they were throwing their full bottles of alcohol, even though they fucking needed to get high. They're like, fuck it, let's just get this fucking guy off the stage. And
oh my God.
we had a guy named Tilo who was actually emceeing with us, and he went up there and was dodging bottles, and nothing hit him. It was like God was blessing him. He went up there and he kept, he was on point, man. He was still on the mic, dodging bottles up and down. He was like a boxer, and that to me still stands out as like unpredictable. What's going to happen? Are we going to get our shit fucking kicked? Are we going to get our ass kicked? Or are we just going to walk away unscathed and talk about this over and over? And Jane's Addiction liked to sometimes plan stuff, but it never went as planned, and that's always kind of fun, and to say, okay, at this point in the song, we should have somebody come out and hang from hooks and suspend, and see what happens after they come out and the response of the audience. But I think my favorite moments are with my eyes closed, connecting with the music, and then opening up and seeing people react. And it's not crazy, but it's definitely it concludes my journey in the sense that this is a great thing to do with my life, is to get people to have a good time and to loosen up and to let them disconnect from all the bullshit that we're all dealing with.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
I'll meet you out on the
me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
You know how sometimes you meet people and they're your friends for life? Regardless, even if you don't talk for years, it feels like no time's passed when you finally hang out. Life flies by, months turn to years, but with certain people, the time between really doesn't matter. That's exactly how I feel about longtime radio and sports host and the EA Sports NHL play-by-play commentator, James Cybulski. We go way back. At this point, probably a couple of decades, James C-Ball is a legend. He would come by my afternoon show at CFox, talk hockey and football, basketball, golf, pretty much anything sport. And honestly, he's one of the sharpest sports minds in Canada. And we've stayed buddies over the years, from his time on the starting lineup on Sportsnet 650 here in Vancouver. Of course, you'll know James from TSN Sports Center, Sportsnet Pacific, co-hosting Sportsnet Central with Carolyn Cameron, even covering the 2010 Winter Olympics. That last one, by the way, earned him a Gemini Award nomination for Best Sports Reporting. And the year after, he took home a Gemini for Best Sports Feature for his story on the connection between Terry Fox and Jay Triano. Cybulski's been crushing it for years. And stop me if you've heard this before, one of James's coolest gigs replacing Mike Emmerich as the play-by-play commentator for EA Sports' NHL franchise, starting with the NHL 2020. Listen to how long it takes James to voice an entire game.
I'm contracted for somewhere in the neighborhood of about 250 to 300 hours annually.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So we do lots of days, you kind of start in the fall and usually it's at least one day a week in the fall. And then by the time after Christmas, we start getting up and running with at least 2 days a week, generally in the new year. And usually, 4 or 5 hour voice sessions and just kind of roll with it.
Wow.
And we've been doing it from home since, we figured out the technology how to do it since pretty much, I'm going to say April of last year. And we worked right through voicing, NHL 21 through until I think the middle of August. And then the game came out and then we were up and running within no time to start voicing again.
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by the Homedwell Group. Buying a house? Selling your home? Contact Kyle at homedwell.ca today. And now, highlighting our next Blue Light Sessions, powered in part by Canadian Club Whiskey. Meet your new cold one. We serve Canadian Club and Ginger ready-to-drink cocktails at all of our live shows. Visit CanadianClub.com today.
killers in town. Tell you the truth, my baby. Well, I don't know if he's me or you, so let's let him die. On the corner of light and this we'll call it bliss. Yes, and where was the last you were satisfied? See, my girl, well, it's been a while. Well, somebody call it bliss, babe. Some call it being blind. And everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Yes, and when was the last you were satisfied? You see, my girl, it's been a while. Some they call a bliss, babe. Some call it being blind. And everything is gonna be alright.
Okay, so I need you to think about seeing that at a very small, intimate, cool venue in East Vancouver. It holds 60 people, 80 people we've rammed into there, but 60 you're like, okay, we've got a concert going. Show is happening, toot the sweet. So the band is called The History of Gunpowder. The song is Bliss, and they will be headlining the next live Toddcast Blue Light Sessions on Friday, February 21st, again in East Vancouver at the Blue Light Studio, which is it's a real mind bender if you know the band. I saw these guys at the Hollywood Theater maybe about a year and a half, 2 years back now, and it was so damn good. A truly eye-opening performance. So for us to have them at Blue Light, again, 60 people. The Hollywood Theater is like, what, 500? I think, maybe 6. It's our Blue Light Sessions, Volume 35, The History of Gunpowder, and Kat Madden. Kat Madden played for us about a year back. Incredible performance. We'll play something from her later on in the podcast as well. Believe she's back with a pared down band. It may be just her and a guitarist. I'm not sure. It's a new project regardless, but the 45-minute sets remain interview, performance, intimate, interactive. Believe me, you will be left with the intent on coming back to one of these shows without being too slapping myself in the back. They're that good. They're that much fun. They're unique to what Vancouver is doing here in our scene, and only a handful of tickets left for this one. It will definitely sell out. So if you want to go check them out, The History of Gunpowder, February 21st, buy tickets right now through eventbrite.ca. Eventbrite.ca. $20, $25 if you want to risk it and gamble and wait for the doors. Doors are at 7, show starts at 8-ish. I played you Johnny Rath as well. That's a newish song for those guys. It's called American Pie, and it's not a cover of the Bye Bye Miss American Pie. It's not that, which I thought it might have been when they originally sent me the track and I saw the name of the song, but thankfully it's not, right? Johnny Rath, another jewel in Vancouver's excellent music scene. Okay, so coming up in just a few minutes, listen to this. Former WBU heavyweight world boxing champ Adam Braidwood humored us and talked about the best boxers of all time. That, of course, is tough to answer. And it's also powered by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. RV service, repairs. They are ICBC accredited, and they are 9. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9-year sponsors. Absolutely key to why we've been able to continue making these podcasts for you over the years. Big love to Tamara, of course. Tamara and the crew. You can find them also kicking around online from time to time on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. First, let's get back to more guest highlights in our Over the Years podcast and some sporting guest visits, all of whom are powered by Sacred Meds easily. These guys, think about this. They've sponsored maybe 5-6 times over the years, and they're easily Canada's best online dispensary. Cannabis, psilocybin, psychedelics, big love for these guys. Big fan. Even when they don't sponsor me, I still shop there. Shop now through sacredmeds.co, weed, mushrooms, edibles, vapes, DMT, oils, dabs, CBD, and so much more. It's truly an incredible website, sacredmeds.co. So let's spotlight IFBB Pro National Champ, kinesiologist, personal trainer Alicia Bell, track and field coach, YouTuber, 3-time fitness cover model. It is her life. Listen to what Alicia says that you should be looking for in a personal trainer.
That's a good question. I feel like a lot of people just hire quote-unquote trainers without doing like a little bit of research, but I think you should definitely hire somebody who has experience, who has education, but not just that, but has like before and after photos to kind of back up their credibility and their clients. Like anybody can make you sweat, and the app can make you sweat, but to have a good personal trainer, you really need someone who's knowledgeable and knows how to apply that knowledge, and it's more than just working out. There's a science behind nutrition and exercise and programming, and it needs to be done in a certain way, and it needs to be specific towards you and not just kind of like for a group or things like that.
I like that. There's a science behind nutrition and exercise and programming. No kidding. And Alicia is dialed in that world. Of course, she's Canadian, as mentioned, from Toronto. She's carved out a good little social media following as well in the presence. She also does public speaking, a kinesiologist, personal trainer. Hear what Alicia says about the term bad calories.
Your body sees basically everything you eat as fat, carbohydrate, or protein. And some people take it a little too far and kind of turn all of their macros into, like, bad foods, which you can do. You can make it fit your macros by eating, like, ice cream and, like, pudding, and you can get, you know, your protein and stuff from, like, all these different types of foods. Like, you can get a burger and make it fit, but the nutrients that are in those calories aren't necessarily good. You can be within your macro range. You can still lose weight. You can still look fit, but like, are you really healthy on the inside? So I call those bad calories. Like, they're not. It's good to have sometimes because your body needs that refuel, and like when you do that, you up your leptin. But to do it like every day, I don't think it's necessarily healthy.
Doing our best to keep you happy and healthy. The nutrients that aren't those calories aren't necessarily good. As we go from a kinesiologist, personal trainer, to Bellator MMA fighter, 6-time world kickboxing champ, Denise Kielholtz, a Dutch fighter, Muay Thai fighter. She's based in Amsterdam and credits her dad for much of her success that she's enjoyed.
Everything that I think that if my dad was not here, that I'm not sitting here. I thinking with this whole dream.
Mm-hmm.
He is he did so many. Now that I'm older, I'm thinking about wow, that every Saturday, really early in the morning, going with me to judo competitions all over the country, driving with me to the training every day, also for him, because I'm right now at this point where I'm standing, all because of him. Because at 9 years, and you have such a support from your parents, and especially my dad, because he was really dedicated. He bring me to every training, to all over. It doesn't matter where the training were or how long he has to drive. He just drove with me all over the whole place,
Dedicated.
So really dedicated. And I think that if he wasn't there, that I'm not also not here.
Right. As a parent, I love that. He was really dedicated. He'd bring me to every training, to all over. Great talk with Denise. And you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe what happened when I talked to her. So she's over there in the Netherlands, right? Something like 8 or 9 hours ahead of Vancouver. We do the interview on Zoom. I thank her. And I forget to record my screen. So I had to email her that second and see if she would do another interview. And no kidding. I asked her to do another interview, completely new questions. Maybe there were a couple that were the same, because I definitely wanted to get her career highlights. And I likely asked her that twice.
Everything that I accomplished in my career is a highlight, and everything that I accomplished, from my judo to kickboxing to this MMA fights, everything that I accomplished is my highlight. And I'm thinking in the worst times from, okay, why am I doing this? Exactly for all those victories that I have made. And that's why I'm thinking the MMA, because going from judo to kickboxing, now in MMA, the MMA title fight and the MMA title is really the crown of my whole career. So every hour, every minute that I just spent in my whole life in martial arts, that MMA world title fight is the crown for everything of that. So
all building to that point.
Yes. Yeah. I think if I did judo, I did kickboxing, but MMA is really the typical thing of everything that comes together, and all those different disciplines come together in the cage. And to be the champion in that, I think you are just like the champion in everything in martial arts. Everything that martial arts stands for, you are the champion of it, because everything comes in that cage, So that's my ultimate goal, to have that red belt hanging here in Amsterdam on my wall.
And how cool of Denise to do the interview twice with us. An MMA title fight is the crown of all of that. Back to back, we almost didn't even have her on. We'll take you from a Bellator MMA kickboxing champ to one of the best to have ever laced him up. 5-time Stanley Cup winner, Grant Fuhr. Former goaltending coach for the Arizona Coyotes, 6-time NHL All-Star, inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2003. More on that in just a sec. First, listen to Grant talking about the rivalries between the Flames and the Winnipeg Jets and the teams that he played on.
Obviously, we had good rivalries in Edmonton, especially with our division. I mean, we had some good teams in our division. Our biggest rivalry is probably the Flames.
Yeah.
I mean, the Battle of Alberta was, one, it was good hockey. Two, it was physical hockey. And it's not so much that it was hatred as much as it was respect. I think that's the biggest thing, is you may hate who you're playing against, but it's because you respect them.
Right. You're going in and having a battle because they're an awesome team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's funny, you look at some of the teams in our division, at one time in our division, 3 of the best teams in the league were in our division.
That's great, right? It's not so much that it was the hatred, it was as much respect, the respect of the other teams that you had to play against. You knew you had to play that much harder, knowing the game was going to be super tough. I think we talked with Grant for just over 15 minutes, maybe 17, but grateful, of course, for every second. I'd literally draw Grant during recess in elementary school, stacked pads, glove out, snagging the slapper. The NHL once named Grant Fuhr one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history. He is the first black hockey player to win the Stanley Cup, the first inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
A nice individual accolade for being lucky enough to play on good teams. And it shows you're a part of good teams.
And what still stands out from the day you're inducted to the Hall of Fame?
Probably that you actually have to stand there and make a speech. I'm not one for speeches, so that was the hard part, because you're standing there and you don't want to forget anybody.
Right.
There's so many people that help you along the way that you just want to make sure you don't forget anyone.
And how many times is it Lisa is your wife? How many times did you run that by her?
Actually, we were married at that time, so
okay.
I ran it by my kids once or twice, and I was going to write a speech, and then I decided to just wing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do better winging it than I do writing things down, so.
Toddcast Podcast sporting guest visits are powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best online dispensary for cannabis, psilocybin, and psychedelics. Shop now at sacredmeds.co.
Beer. Nothing delivers like a Red Truck. Official beer of the Toddcast Podcast.
And now, listen to this on the Toddcast Podcast.
There's a couple reasons why you might recognize the name Adam Braidwood. He was a defensive end in the CFL for the Edmonton Eskimos before they changed their name, and a heavyweight professional boxer. He's 6'4", 250, an absolute powerhouse. And during Adam's time in Washington State, he won the Strongest Man Award twice. As a pro boxer, he boasts a 14-2 record. His 8th win was in June of 2017, and it made headlines for weeks. You may remember this. Adam faced a heavyweight named Tim Hague, and the bout turned tragic. After being knocked out, Hague suffered a brain hemorrhage, passed away a couple of days later on June 18th. Despite the tragedy, Adam continued to be a prominent figure in boxing and was the WBU heavyweight world boxing champ. And when Adam was a guest, we got him to pick the greatest boxers of all time. Damn near impossible. Listen to this.
Best boxer of all time, see, it's tough because I look at a lot of different factors, right? So to me, a fighter should be ferocious. He should put pressure on people. He should try to finish guys.
and he should have solid fundamentals. And, you know, when you look at a guy like Mike Tyson, I think he had all of those things, right? And he had, not a typical heavyweight physique, and he was able to basically dismantle everyone. Were his skills unreal? Yeah. As far as like pure boxing is concerned, I got to look at guys. Man, this is a tough question.
I know, right?
We'll get deeper and deeper. We'll start talking about Roberto Duran and like Sugar Ray Leonard. Best pure boxer. To be honest with you, I think Vasyl Lomachenko right now has better fundamentals and skill level than anyone that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wow.
And he's currently fighting right now. And if you ask anyone, like, he's almost never out of position. His footwork is flawless. His punches are crisp. Like, he's always in position. He's never vulnerable. And if you look at other fighters throughout history, they all show chinks in their armor at one point in time. Like, it's yet to be seen whether he's can live up to his potential.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies.
It just don't fit in this whole wide world. Looks like a finger pointing at me. Might as well be raping the whole wide world. Don't fucking
I'm really looking forward to seeing what incarnation it is of Kat Madden at our next live show. Of course, that one is called Don't Touch Me. Kat's opening up the night at our live show towards the end of the month, opening up for the history of gunpowder. It's the Toddcast Blue Light Sessions. I believe it's volume 35. It's on Friday, February 21st. I mentioned it earlier anyway. At the Blue Light Studio, we open the doors at 7 o'clock. Things get underway at about 8:15. We cap the night at 60. We may bump that to 80 depending. We are super close to sold out. So if you want to make sure you get in, grab a ticket right now. Again, through eventbrite.ca, Eventbrite, eventbrite.ca. Only $20. Search Toddcast podcast. You can't miss the shows. You heard a band called Cloud Sick, and that's their song called Crutch. I would say that's a front runner for indie rock song of 2025. And I know, hold up. I know that we're only into February. It's just that good of a song. They played a show for us just before Christmas. It is up if you want to check it out, the full thing, at our YouTube channel. Of course, also whatever it is, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever you listen on. Okay, so our final guests of this episode 355, this week's entertainment and lifestyle guests, as always, powered by our good buddies at Thrive Management, big event staffing agency here in Canada. Models, brand ambassadors, if you need help with your event, whether it's operations or sales, TV, film, trade shows, home maintenance, literally whatever it is, they'll help out. They work in major cities across the country. Find out how Sasha and her incredible team can boost your next event. All right, so through thrivemanagement.ca, Sasha will help out. So you'll likely best know actress Anne Mahoney for a couple of key roles, right? She played Olivia on The Walking Dead. She was Elvis's mom, Gladys Presley, in Sun Records. She was Beth on Rectify. So what was it that got Anne down the acting path?
That's hard, but I think... I've told this story before. My father's a jazz musician. He's an incredible composer and musician. And there was a play I was doing when I was 17. It was my first professional play, and it's a wonderful musical, a Sondheim musical called A Little Night Music. And I love it. I, to this day, love that musical. And my father went to see every performance, nearly every performance, without my knowledge. I didn't know he was there going to see it over and over again. And one night I was on the stage and I heard his laugh from the audience, and I went out and found him. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing here? He said, I really love watching you. I think it's, that you really found something here. He's a quiet man. He's kind of an introvert, but I have such great respect for him as an artist. I think he's just so amazing at what he does. So once I recognized in him that he saw something similar in me, I knew that I was on the right track, and I was going to continue going that way.
Oh, I like that. Once I recognized in him that he saw something similar in me, I knew I was on the right track. Like, that's so true, hey? Sometimes that's all it takes is other people seeing the greatness in you and then kind of get things fired up and continue that way. So Anne was born in Rochester, New York. At 2, she moved to New Orleans, studied theater at Greensboro College and the University of Connecticut. She got her master's. And so cool to hear her tell the story of how she landed the role of Olivia on The Walking Dead.
It's interesting. One of the first casting directors I ever met, so I didn't start doing film and television until about 2003. I'm a classically trained theater actress and had expected to do that. But back when I first started in film and television, you could still have just a meeting with a casting director before you ever auditioned. It was a different time. It was kind of like the end of that time. But I met Lisa Mae Fincannon of Fincannon Associates Casting, one of probably the most major casting office out of the Southeast. And she really liked me. We hit it off. So she cast me a bunch of things over the years. And then when this role popped up, she immediately would call my agent and said, "This has got Anne written all over it." So I taped an audition, and I'm sure you know this, but we never get pieces of the actual script of the show. They write audition pieces specifically for Walking Dead that don't have anything to do with the show because they don't want spoilers to get out.
Right.
And whoever you're auditioning for, it's not the name of your actual character. It's some name they've made up. So I did this monologue that was kind of really funny, and I taped it, and I sent, that's what they asked me to do, and I sent it in, and about a week and a half or 2 weeks later, I was at the symphony with my mom, and my agent called, and she said, they want to cast you. You have to be on set Sunday, which, 2 days later. And it was odd because I guess what I found out is that doesn't happen often on this show, that people get cast from tape. But I think, Lisa May, because she had known me for so long, I think she really advocated for me. And they trusted her. So, those relationships that you build with everybody through the years are also really important.
So great to hear people fighting for you when you're not in the room, right? Like, I think she really advocated for me and they just trusted her. As we go from an actress on The Walking Dead to a marketing whiz, author, keynote speaker named Cynthia Johnson, she's well known for being an entrepreneur, an SEO specialist, an influencer even. And here, Cynthia talks about the biggest hurdles that she thinks are for Bitcoin and blockchain.
Yeah, I think so. And I've always been really interested in Ripple, which you should look into. But that is similar. But the whole process, really, if you think about it, and kind of a way to explain it is just like Chuck E. Cheese. You go in, and you either play games to get tokens, or you give them money and you get tokens, and then you use those tokens to buy stuff. Like, it's the same thing. It's like at the very core of what it is. It's like the concept of money not being tangible is already happening. You're putting it into a bank, but understanding the differences between, it being digital and how that process of creating it, it's simply put, could be put there. I think another thing is, I just read that the U.S. government spends somewhere between 1.5 to over 2.5 cents to make every penny every year.
Now, that doesn't sound like it's making sense.
So that's an argument for cryptocurrency in itself.
Love that. You either play the games to get the tokens or you give them money and you get the tokens. Clear, simple. It's like Chuck E. Cheese. Too funny, the comparison. So Cynthia is the co-founder of a media company. She's a director of a brand development in the States called American Addiction Centers, contributing columnist for Entrepreneur, Fox News, Chicago Tribune. She's on the board of directors for United Nations Women U.S. National Committee, LA, and Forbes Agency Council. As an SEO specialist, Cynthia knows a thing or two about making something go viral. Here's what you can do to help things along.
It's so interesting, actually. I was reading this study. Have you heard, obviously you've heard of, the 6 degrees of separation, in the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon, yes.
So it's funny with online, actually, they found that on Twitter, and I'm getting somewhere with this, it's actually less than 5 steps for every Twitter user to any other Twitter user. And on Facebook, it's less than 4 now. And so you can do enough research and pull enough data to understand if there's potential to go viral. That's the starting point. If there's not potential to go viral, then don't do it. you can map that out. And then to actually make something go viral, that's where the human element comes in. You can plan as much as you want and get as many people on board, but you're still kind of rolling the dice depending on the topic, the timing, and also making, right. And it involves people that have an audience. And that's where it gets into the personal brand stuff, is that, it's fine if Beyonce wants to share an ad for Starbucks, but 1,000 Starbucks employees sharing the ad will have way more impact than Beyonce, because they have a vested stake in the company. They work there. People know them. Their networks know they work there. And that effect is actually more, it's clear, it's honest. People believe people that work at Starbucks. You see articles all the time that say, what the drink no Starbucks employee wants you to order or whatever. It's like that content is great. And so, it's not about forcing something to go viral, but at least being prepared and looking at the right kind of information to decide if it can.
And that's the thing, right? She goes, you can do enough research and pool enough data to understand if there's potential to go viral. It has to have potential to go viral. It's so true. Pointless otherwise. And from an entrepreneur, marketing pro, author, keynote speaker, to an actor you'll best know from The Walking Dead and Underground, Theodus Crane, who was, straight up, by the way, a good, fun interview. Listen to what he said when I asked about whether he's ever been starstruck on a project that he's been working on.
Not starstruck, but I've been caught off guard before. And, it's one of those things you live and you learn. But when I was working on The Bagman, we were in line for something, and I was behind De Niro. And this is when I still had a day job, and I had my shirt on for my day job, and I knew it was going to be an all-night shoot, so I had taken my undershirt off, and I was like, all right, well, when I drive home, I wear this. Just pre-planning. And so I looked a little homely, and he turns to me, and he's like, what, did you lose a bet? And one, I wasn't expecting him to talk to me, and two, I just didn't know what to say to that. So I just kind of smiled and nodded and kicked myself for the rest of the day. And I spent from that day to this day trying to figure out what I should have said to him. Mm-hmm. No clue. I still don't have a clue.
I know. But, what do you say to that? From De Niro?
I mean, there's some kind of snappy coming back that would have made us BFFs or something. I don't know.
He turns to me and he's like, what did you lose a bet? And it's Al Pacino asking. It's too good. Listen to what Theodus says he puts as his career highlight.
My career highlight thus far, honestly, was Underground.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't had a more challenging or rewarding job. And, the feeling that I had leaving that, it was of actual accomplishment. I felt like I'd done something I'd never done before. And it was with people who I was thankful to be around, who were just supportive and in their own regard, just, beasts, just going at it, man. Everybody was there to push everybody else and to make everybody there the best they could be, and to really put out a great product. And so whatever happens with it, I'm proud of it. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough thing to say. I used to hate watching myself. The only reason I actually would have watched myself is to put my materials together, my reel and all that stuff. And I just didn't like it. But this, I was ready for that trailer to drop, man. When am I going to see it? Am I in it? How much am I in it? What am I going to be doing? What do you got me doing? Right. I've not really had that kind of anticipation for something that I was in before. Most times I don't tell people I'm going to be in something. I'll wait, I'll wait for it to come out on Netflix or DVD or whatever. I'm kind of a jerk in that way, but this one, it's like, no, you need to see this. This is going to come out. When's it come out? I don't know yet, but when I know, you'll know. Mm-hmm. This is yes, it's coming. Just be ready.
Toddcast Podcast Entertainment Guest Visits are powered by Thrive Management, an event staffing agency that provides staffing services across Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Ottawa, and all of BC. Find out more at thrivemanagement.ca.
He grips the wheel with a broken head and defies the rain, knowing a shot at love and redemption could just wash away. Flying the midnight highway, chiseling our memories. He eyes up a wall of stone that's rising a mile in the sky and thinks, I fell from those heights, now my shattered bones remind me of the ones I never leave alone. Death, you gave me sight, fear you made me stroll, in love you turn all the noise into song. So if you be my warrior angel, I'm your miracle man. If you be my warrior angel, I'm your miracle man. Your miracle man. nation by land and the next by water. Points at the constellation that looks like his daughter. Slowly a tiny island emerges from darkness. As he stands on the sky, it's a voice that hits him the hardest. And she says, you fell from those heights, now your mended bones are the only ones I will ever hold. Death gave me sight, feel you made me strong. And love, I know there's so many miles to go. So if you be my warrior angel, I'm your miracle man. Oh, if you be my warrior angel, I'm your miracle man. Yeah, if you be my warrior angel, I'm your miracle man. If you be my warrior angel, I'm your miracle man. Your miracle man. Miracle man. Miracle man. Be my angel. Be my angel. Be my warrior. My warrior angel. Your miracle man. You be my warrior angel. Be your miracle man. Be my warrior angel. I'm your miracle man. My warrior angel. Your miracle man. You're my warrior angel. I'm a miracle man. You're my warrior angel. I'm a miracle man. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
To say that we would be getting new music from the Boom Booms in 2025, fan freaking tastic. Considering only a couple years ago, remember, they did say they were going on the hiatus and they might not be back, blah, blah, blah. But no. New song for the boys, the Boom Booms, that's called Miracle Man. Noticing they're playing some shows as well more and more often. So keep your ears, your eyes peeled, especially considering if they're going to be playing in your neck of the woods, you should try to make it if they do. A phenomenal live band. And so we're going to wrap it up with that. Episode 355 is done. Check that one off the list. Once again, my name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for being there and checking us out. Come back again. Tell your buddies about us as well. We are part of the Realm.fm network. They're based out of New York City. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast. Of course, all the videos we do and everything is on our YouTube channel, all at Toddcast Podcast. It's about the brand. Keep it the same name. It's about the brand. Huge thanks to all of our guests for this week, for them to take the time back when we originally interviewed them. We don't take that lightly. And of course, to our most excellent sponsors, you can find all of them at toddhancock.ca. Become part of what we're doing. Hit us up at the website to sponsor us with your business as well. It starts at just $10 a day and it goes up from there. And help us find a sponsor and we'll pay you. We'll give you a commission. All right? Till next time, my friend, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast Podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's incredible Only One story. We talk to real people dealing with issues like infertility, the death of a loved one, human trafficking, and women who, fake it. Oh, and we want to be fair, so we talk to celebrities too. Emmy winners like actor John Cryer, supermodels like Amber Valletta, and rock stars like Ryan Dusick. Everyone is invited to share their Only One story with our listeners. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee you that Only One in the Room has a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone. Download Only One in the Room on Apple or Spotify today.